Travel isn't just about destinations, it's about the people you meet, the cultures you immerse yourself in, the stories you carry home. I'm Relebogile Mabocha, and on my travel feature, I take you on a journey beyond the guidebook. Each week, I connect with fellow travelers, insiders, and storytellers to bring you the heart of every place. Whether it's a hidden gem right here in South Africa or a dream destination abroad. Join me as we travel through conversations, memories, and inspiration. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
Now then, in our travel feature this afternoon, we're heading just over an hour out of Cape Town. Well, depends on how fast you drive. I can get to Grabouw in about 55 minutes. We're heading just out an hour out of Cape Town to the heart of the Overberg, to Grabouw in the Elgin Valley, and that is where you will find Trails End Bike Hotel, Africa's very first hotel purpose-built for cyclists and those who love the trails. Think rustic sort of alpine style lodge meets South African adventure hub, I guess. Whether you're into mountain biking, trail running, hiking, or really just soaking up the fynbos-filled surrounds, this spot really has it all, including the continent's only bicycle museum. And let's find out what makes this destination so unique as we welcome the owner, Pieter Silberbauer. Good to have you with us, Pieter. Thanks so much for coming in.
Yeah, thanks for having me. And good afternoon to CapeTalk listeners.
I've got to ask you, what's a bike hotel? What is that?
Okay, that we discovered as we built it. But it was really, it was actually our factory before. For 30 years we built timber houses. And and then a big leap of faith.
Yeah, right.
Decided that at the age of 60 I wanted to do something else. And so we had this big shed and we thought, what do? We write on all the cycle trails. My daughters are both avid cyclists, mountain bikers, and they'll deny it, but one of them said, why don't we build a ski lodge for bikes? and that was really how it came about. And it's been amazing. We had COVID interrupting us, but
right.
From the start it kind of grew, and we recovered after COVID and back on track.
I mean, it's in terms of location, it seems the ideal spot.
It's for so many adventures. We got the zip line up the road as well, Cape Canopy Tours. So, and amazing trails. So the Wines to Wales, epic every now and again. They all come through. So we have these big events, Xterra, the country club's right there with its big Eikenhof Lake. So there's so much to do out there, and it's so close. As you get over the mountain, it's a different environment.
Yeah, really is. I took a drive up. I was in that region about 3 weeks ago, and I thought I must come more. Because there's something that happens once you kind of over Solari's Pass and you're there, and it's really good for the soul.
Yeah, you can catch the train as well. The steam engine goes out there, the Elgin Railway Market. Yeah.
I tell you what, I like the experience of driving from city into
something different.
Yeah. I really do. I think it feeds the soul. There's something quite empowering about being literally in the driving seat of that experience, holistically and actually, isn't there?
Yeah, no, and people come and as they move in, they just kind of all their worries and they're out on the trails. And I always find if I start riding up the mountain, as I get higher and higher, all the problems seem less and less. And you look down and it looks so easy to fix.
Right, yeah. So you started before COVID, then you had COVID interrupt us, as it were, and then you are where you are now. What are we dealing with? I gather that inspired by the alpine ski lodges that many of us will be familiar with. How does that concept translate to a setting in the Western Cape?
Well, I think what you said earlier about being in the mountains, it's so different. When you're up there, you're surrounded, it's like a big basin, and mountains all around you. And mountain biking is obvious, but things like hiking, and that we found after COVID, suddenly everyone they wanted to get out, and adventure tourism has just taken off. So it's ideal for that, to just take a break. We have a lot of conferences in midweek. People come and so they're out of the city environment. There's not a lot to do in the evening, so you have the camaraderie.
What does one do?
Well,
put a fire on.
Yeah, we have fire, and there's lots of great red wine.
Yeah.
There's actually a lot to do, but slower. And I think that's what people enjoy. That you've got time for each other. It's not a rush. And also, once you've been out on the trails, you kind of feel you owe yourself something special in the evenings.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Just talk to us about the adventure tourism a little bit. I mean, talking about that leap of faith into, moving away from what you had been doing, what sort of research, if any, had you done into, are we just going to get the same 5 people every week, or are we going to be attracting people from all over the world to come who specifically want what we are offering?
I think it was... It was a combination.
Right.
The one was we were just going to do it.
Yeah.
And the other was looking at what works in Italy. We actually, there's a hotel in Hiroshima called Hotel Bike, and that was an inspiration.
Okay.
And we'd never been there, but we just looked at what they did. And I think anything that's got a bit of a theme, people are curious.
I'm curious.
Yeah.
What makes a bike hotel different from any other hotel?
So we met this girl, I can't remember her surname. She was from New Zealand, a Kiwi mountain biker, Amanda. And she just said, these are the things you got to have. Good coffee, comfortable beds, a place where you can get the mud off the bikes. And also you can't be precious about, the floor. You've got to be precious about the bikes though. Because...
Okay.
When we've got a little lock-up, but it's totally visible. So when you're sitting having breakfast, you can see all these beautiful bikes, but they're locked away.
Okay.
And, if you say, gee, whose bike is that? That's my bike.
Right.
So people are like, they would take them up to their rooms if we allowed it.
I can believe that to be true. Okay, so comfortable beds, good coffee, somewhere to clean the bikes. I'd imagine that from a security aspect, because not that I am an avid biker or anything, but they're a pretty penny, aren't they? A decent bike is Yeah,
I've kind of lost track.
Right.
I know where my cutoff was, but they just seem to go up and up and up. But beautiful. But it's almost like the less there is, the more they cost.
Yeah, it's so true. It's so minimising. If you're just joining us this afternoon, it is Tuesday's travel feature, and we've literally got on our bikes and headed to the Elgin Valley and to beautiful, beautiful Grabouw, where we are setting up camp for the next 10 or so minutes at Trails End Bike Hotel, Africa's very first hotel, purpose-built for cyclists and trail lovers, and what an absolutely perfect location. So think Alpine-style lodge with a bit of South African flavour. So if you are into mountain biking, or whether you're just into a bit of peace and quiet in the mountains, then this spot really has it all. I just want to direct people to Facebook pages and websites in case they want to check it out while we're having a chat. Pieter Silberbauer is the owner. Where can we head for that?
So if you look on www.trailsend.bike, that'll give you just about everything. And then Facebook is Trails End Bike Hotel. And I think, on Instagram it's the same.
Yeah.
At Trails End Bike Hotel.
So who are your guests, Pieter? Are they coming from all over? Are they people who are familiar with the concept of a bike hotel?
Yeah, but it's quite diverse. So we'll have people that are coming to train for a race.
Oh, okay.
So there'll be groups doing that. There'll be groups that just are touring around the country and they want to see good trails, and they'll spend a couple of days with us, get out on the trails. And there are groups that just have no clue. They just want to see something different.
Yeah.
And they want to get up in the mountains, and it might be hiking, it might be trail running. But the trails have become spectacular. In 2023 we had those big floods.
Yeah.
And since then we've been rebuilding. We've actually just recommissioned a 1901 railway bridge, which 130 meters long. That's long when you start throwing concrete and that sort of thing. Yeah. But it, so suddenly there are all these connections, and people love it. So, and I think South Africa is quite a mountain bike destination. There are lots of trails just about everywhere you go now. And I think we're fortunate in that ours became famous in the early 90s when mountain biking was just starting. And so it's kind of continued from there. Yeah.
And then what's your capacity? How many people can you accommodate?
Up to 60.
Okay.
Yeah. So usually when it's conferences and things like that, we usually say around about 40 is a good size, but 60 is full. And so quite often it's celebrations. People come for 50th, 40th 70th,
Yeah.
whatever. So it'll be milestone. People just book out the place, and it's a great place to have a party because you're all together. It's
What have been some of your biggest challenges, Pieter, since opening the doors?
Well, I think it started off really. It was just growing,
Right.
and then the bicycle industry got itself into a bit of a mess during COVID. Suddenly there were no bikes. Then everyone wanted a bicycle, so there were no sales. And suddenly everyone was buying bicycles, and then there was an oversupply. So that was part of it, but also getting through COVID, that was a big challenge. And we decided to build a museum.
Yes, tell me about that.
Otherwise, we would have gone mad, just waiting for people to come. So we got hold of Franschhoek Motor Museum, and we actually became partners in on the bicycle museum side. And we also met Prof. Mike Bruton, he was CEO of the Science Centre, and he gave us, he basically curated it.
Wow.
So we did one section, the history of the bicycle, and then we did another section with famous South African cyclists and bike-related South Africans. And as people saw the thing taking off, we got phone calls, and we also, people like Greg Minnar loaned us, one of his famous bikes, Alan Hatherley through Giant, and we've got Ria Mansa's old lady that he rode around Africa on.
Wow.
Which the children just love, and they love all the stories that go with it. And Erica Green, we've got one of her bikes that she won the Argus.
And if people aren't coming to stay at the hotel, can they come through and check out the museum?
Yeah. So we encourage that, and especially school kids.
Right.
If they're doing the history of transport, the bicycle was an integral part to all of that.
Yeah.
So
I tell you what, I don't ride bicycles enough, and I was thinking this the other day. I don't actually own a bicycle. Do you own a bicycle, folks? Let me know on the WhatsApp line. When was the last time, unless you are, like Pieter, Pieter probably cycled here from Grabouw, but unless you're like Pieter and you're on a bike all the time because that's your thing, do you own a bicycle? When was the last time you rode a bike? I actually can't remember the last time that I rode a bicycle, and yet some of my fondest memories as a child are of riding my bike. I grew up on a farm, and so we always were riding our bikes around.
And that doesn't take a lot to reignite that. There's so many people that, just work got in the way, and then suddenly they get back on a bicycle. You never forget. And one thing we've started doing now, which is quite a lot of fun, and everyone joins in, whether it's kids or older people, we race the train from Trails End down to the Elgin Railway Market. Because now we've got a cycle track that goes all the way along the line.
Oh, have you?
Right next to the train, yeah. So you've got this big steam engine puffing away next to you. And it's such a lot of fun. It's only 3.5 Ks, but everyone can manage it.
How lovely.
Yeah. And people on the train take videos of us. We take pictures, and it's a fun morning on a Saturday.
You look very happy, Pieter, that this is a direction that your life has taken.
Yeah, you were talking about leaps of faith, and there have been quite a few, along the way. Just everything you do to add an attraction.
Yeah.
You kind of think, do we need to spend that? And it adds so much more. Well, the museum was one, that we funded ourselves.
Sure.
And we had a lot of help with Franschhoek Motor Museum, Aziku Museum, various others who've given us the most amazing artifacts that we can show. And then one of my daughters worked with us. She helped, do all the research together with Prof. Bruton. So, but it's... I think with any business, you're always going to have challenges, but I love it. And going out and showing people the trails, to me, that's the best part.
That must be an enormous part of the draw is your own expertise in that area, your own knowledge of the region.
Yeah, I'm getting a bit slow though.
I don't believe that.
And that E, you put in front of a bike, it's kind of every now and again I have to resort to that.
We've had a message that says we had a wonderful stay at Trails End, including a super fun cycle, such a friendly atmosphere. The only thing that bothered me, says Mallory, was the amount of alien vegetation encroaching on the Fynbos. How are locals dealing with that?
So there are lots of things we're dealing with there. Forestry left.
Yeah.
So when forestry left, we started getting involved with the management, and we've actually got a participatory forestry management forum,
Right.
which includes a lot of different organizations from national government right through to local NGOs. And we've started together with forestry, forest monitors, that they're now learning. And so it's early days, but we've managed to get their bikes sponsored. And so they've started looking after the area. And what's exciting for me is one of them has started a hiking group, and they're teaching each other about the fynbos.
Sure.
And I think that's, if you can get the whole community to be involved, then you can get on top of something like that. But Kogelberg Biosphere, they've got plans. They're cleaning up a lot. So there's a lot happening.
Yeah.
But it'll take a while before it all comes together.
I must come down and pay you a visit, Pieter, and get myself on a bicycle. Just remind us again of the website so people can check it out.
www.trailsend.bike.
You are listening at 1:57 to Lunch with me, Sara-Jayne Makwala King.